What's going on, Chum Guzzlers? Welcome back to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Captain Steve, and this week we're taking a look at Into the Deep from 2025, directed by Christian Sesma. This is also going to be technically our Jaws 50th episode for this month. Last month, it was the episode I did on Patreon for Revenge of the Creature, so if you want to check that out, make sure you go to patreon.com. That's going to be my Patreon plug for the show. I'm not going to do what I usually do. So there's my plug. Rate, review the show, like, subscribe. You know what to do. So yeah, that was last month. This is going to be this month because this movie stars Richard Dreyfuss and Scout Taylor-Compton. So, of course, Richard Dreyfuss was in Jaws. If you didn't know that, I really don't know why you're listening to my show at all, but I'm kidding. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. So we're still going to do our usual segments right at the beginning of the show here. I'm going to do more of a brief overview of the movie and not necessarily plot point by plot point like I usually do. I'm just going to do something a little bit different for this episode, see how it lands. If people don't like it, I'll go back to doing it the way I usually do it. And if not, mostly because I don't want to go through this particular movie plot point by plot point. We'll get into that in a second here. But let's just get right into the Letterboxd plot synopsis. Underwater, no one can hear you scream, which I'm just going to say right off the bat, that is a take on the Alien tagline, in space, no one can hear you scream. So right off the bat, anyways, continuing. Divers searching for sunken treasure witness the murder of drug dealers by modern-day pirates, but a killer great white is determined not to let any of them escape its waters. Also technically inaccurate because there's, I'm pretty sure, like 2 sharks in this movie, maybe even more. But anyways, it has an average rating of 1.6 stars on Letterboxd, and I was looking back at the movies I covered in October, and besides Shark Exorcist 2, like, October was a pretty solid month, and I watched 2 Polonia Brothers movies that had higher ratings than this movie on Letterboxd. So just, if you decide to watch this movie, just keep that in mind. That's your warning. As for poster expectations, I did a trailer react for this movie a while ago on the YouTube channel, and I remember not being super impressed. And my first reaction to this poster is anger. I'm mad because they use an AI shark on the movie poster. It's not even like the Adobe stock shark that we see in so many other movie posters. Like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know this for a fact, but just looking at it, I'm like, this is an AI-generated shark. And I'm like, when you have 2 people in your movie like Scout Taylor-Compton and Richard Dreyfuss, maybe not, A-listers by any means, but like, they're 2 names. Like, you need to do something a little bit better, because if they had done like a more realistic looking shark and not this AI generated one on the poster's not half bad. Like, it's nothing new or original. Like, it's just Scout Taylor-Compton and then the AI shark behind her, like it's about to bite her or something. That's all it is. Like, it's nothing spectacular, but like the mood and coloring of it is all right, but that fucking AI shark just ruins the whole thing for me. Like, I really, really do not like it. So seeing the poster, seeing the trailer, I kept my expectations very low for this movie, and I'm very glad that I did. So yeah, I'm just going to start to go over the plot a little bit. Again, I'm not going to do like a normal plot point by plot point. I do have my notes here just to go over like names of characters and whatnot. But the basic plot of this movie is, so Scout Taylor-Compton plays Cassidy, and Richard Dreyfuss plays her grandfather. And so when Cassidy was a kid, her father was attacked by a shark. The 3 of them, so her mother, father, and Cassidy, when she was a little girl, they're all swimming like out in the ocean, or the mother's on the boat, and then like her and her dad are like swimming around, and then he gets eaten by a shark, and this traumatizes Cassidy. So for her whole life, she's like terrified to go in the water. She's afraid of sharks. She's even afraid of like swimming pools and whatnot. And we get all this information throughout the entire movie, and they do these things with flashbacks. And there's just so many flashbacks, and sometimes they're really close together, and also it just like reiterates information that we already know. Like, it's just completely unnecessary, and it just feels like a whole bunch of filler. And you know how much I love filler. It's my favorite thing in any movie, really. I don't, like, I understand sometimes you need filler. That's just the way it is. I get it. But, like, this movie felt like it had way too much of that. And I was hoping, like, with the flashbacks, we would kind of see Cassidy and Seamus, is Richard Dreyfuss's character's name, Seamus. I was hoping to see, like, more of their relationship, because I think that's what the flashbacks were supposed to do. Because he plays a marine biologist, again, like he did in Jaws. Well, I guess wasn't a marine biologist specifically, but basically a marine biologist. And so he's trying to help her, like, overcome her fear of the water and sharks and whatnot. So he's, like, always pushing her to go swimming and get in the ocean or, like, get in the pool or something like that. But it didn't really make me feel like these two actually liked being around each other. Like, he's very comforting towards her, but I don't know. There was, like, some chemistry or something missing with these characters interacting. So yeah, that's what we get throughout the whole movie, just these flashbacks. And then they actually have, like, one scene at the very end of the movie, which takes place, like, 2 weeks after the main events. And it basically ends with him asking, like, how you doing? She's like, oh, well, you know, I'm still alive. And then it just kind of ends after that. So well, it's not even really spoilers for the end of the movie. She lives because she's the main character. Of course she does. But so the basic premise is a lot of the things we've seen before. And even in last week's movie, we saw the same premise, except last week's movie did it 100 times fucking better. So we have these people diving. So Cassidy and her boyfriend are going out on this boat, and there's a couple of other people there with them. And it's basically so she can, like, kind of get over the death of her dad and whatnot, because she's going on the anniversary of his death as well. So she plans on... This is where it gets kind of confusing, because we have a conversation with her mother and Seamus, because she calls Seamus when she's on the boat saying, like, oh yeah, I'm out on the boat, blah, 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 boop. And then she loses signal, or, like, his phone dies or something. And then the mother is like, she's fine. She's just out on the water. You know, she's going out on the boat. She's going to do a little bit of diving. It's going to be just fine. But then later on, we see that there's a shark cage on the boat. And then the captain of this boat, Damon, who's friends with Greg, Cassidy's boyfriend, he says he just uses it for, like, extra money. Like, they're not planning on going, like, shark cage diving today. It's just something he has on the boat. And yeah, they do use it at some point to go and grab the drugs for the bad guys. Because that's what this movie is about. It's about bad guys forcing people to dive down, pick stuff up, but sharks in water make things bad. Like, that's the entire, like, plot of this movie. And they try to add things that are supposed to be interesting to us, and it's just really not. So our bad guy, Jordan, is this, like, American dude, but he's a pirate. So we see them, like, killing the drug dealers at some point in this movie. And so we're like, oh, okay, he's a badass. And they try to give him this backstory at one point, and it's just, it doesn't matter. It's like they wanted to explain why he had an American accent. But, like, when you look at this whole crew, like, they just look like they were mercenaries at some point. So already in my head, I'm like, okay, so you used to be military, probably. And sure fucking enough, his backstory is like, yeah, I was in the military. Somebody came up to me with an offer, and so I did it. And then I got caught and got in trouble. So now I just wander the world. And that's it. That's all we get for his fucking backstory. And I'm like, cool. I don't care. I really don't care at all. So, like, that's another scene where it's just filler. I'm like, I don't care about his background. And I also assumed that on my own with the visuals that you were giving me. So it's almost like sometimes they understood how to do certain filmmaking techniques and then would just abandon them later on at some point. But yeah, so the 4 people go diving. So it's Cassidy, Greg, and this other couple that is with them on the boat. And while they're down there, they find, like, gold coins and whatnot. And so they start, like, collecting those. And then at some point, this dude, Pierre, is attacked by a shark. And at the beginning of the movie, with Cassidy's dad getting attacked by a shark, like, it's very bad CGI. It's not bad CGI like you would see in, like, a Polonia Brothers movie or, like, a micro-budget film. It's more along the lines of something you would see in, like, later Asylum films, like Shark Warning and movies like that. It's that sort of CGI where it's not necessarily, like, bad. Like, whoever made it did a good job. Like, I couldn't do that. But it doesn't fit in this movie. It doesn't feel realistic enough. So it really takes me out of it. But that's kind of the incident that really starts this thing off, is Pierre's attacked, they get him onto the boat and everybody else, and then this is where they come across Jordan and his crew, and they wave them down asking for help. And now Jordan and his crew think that they witnessed them killing the drug dealers, and they think that they found the drugs on the bottom, which is why they're trying to get away from them so fast. No, there's a dude who was bit by a shark. Like, that's why they're trying to get away. Because Jordan says a line later on in the movie where he's like, yeah, why are you trying to get away so fast? Probably because you found what we were looking for. And it's like, this dude has shark bites in him. You see him. So, like, again, these people, a lot of these characters and the dialogue is just absolutely insane. Like, coming back, I totally got sidetracked. This is why I don't do formats like this. But, so when Seamus and Cassidy's mom were talking earlier, and she said she was doing diving, Cassidy wasn't originally planning on doing diving. It's not until later in the trip, right before she goes in the water, that she decides that she's gonna go diving. According to the dialogue, anyways. Like, I don't know. It's just very confusing. Like, nothing's super clear in this movie at times. It's just, it's very frustrating. But yeah, after some, like, confrontation with Jordan and whatnot, they basically force them to go down and grab the drugs. So what ends up happening is Cassidy goes down and grabs some drugs for these guys. But when she goes down, so she goes in the shark cage, because obviously we got to use the shark cage, even though it's like, no, we're not going to use it today, but oh, suddenly it's going to come in handy now. Yeah. So she goes down in the shark cage, sorry, and then she leaves the cage, and there's just two sharks circling around her, and they're not bothering her. Like, earlier when it attacked Pierre and, like, chasing after them and whatnot, like, it was just attacking for no reason, it seems. Like, it just seems like they were just super violent, crazy sharks for no reason. So it's just very weird that, like, she's able to leave the cage with these sharks just circling her, and they just don't attack her. It's like, oh, you're the main character right now? I'm going to let you be. But they do start attacking her when she gets into the cage, when she's ready to pull the drugs up and whatnot. And then at one point, one of the sharks actually bites into one of the bags of drugs because it sinks to the bottom. So when they get up to the top, there's one crate of drugs missing, and Jordan's all pissed off about this. So I thought maybe they were going to try and do something like a cocaine shark, or what they looked like they tried to do in the movie Deep Fear. I did a C6 Cinema episode of that with BP from Let's Talk Horror, and a main episode. But again, even that movie, it's exactly the same thing. Somebody is diving, they're innocent, drug dealers come and force them to dive down for drugs, but they're sharks. It's like literally the same basic plot points, except this movie doesn't give me anything interesting to go on. They're like, oh, we have Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, so that's gonna make it a good movie, right? No, it really doesn't. And Richard Dreyfuss was fine in this movie. I've never thought he's a particularly, like, great actor. I love him in Jaws. I actually really like him in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But yeah, like, I don't really think of him as, like, an A-list, like, top-tier actor by any means. And, like, he was okay in this movie, but it wasn't enough for me to, like, grasp onto to make anything, like, super interesting about this. And again, he's just playing a marine biologist, and he's mostly in flashbacks for the most part, except for, like, you know, a couple of scenes here and there. And also, too, when they're cutting to the scenes on the boat versus cutting to scenes of, like, either the flashbacks or even, like, present-day scenes of Seamus and whatnot, like, those scenes are all, like, very blue-toned colors, and then the scenes with Cassidy on the boat are, like, more warm colors. And I'm like, I went to film school, so, like, I understand that they're possibly doing this for a reason, but, like, I don't really get it. Like, I don't really understand why we're doing this. Like, I almost felt like it should have been reversed. Like, it should have been more blue with the water scenes and Cassidy, and then more bright, happy colors with Seamus and whatnot, because they're, like, safe on land. But maybe it's a different tone they were going for, and it just went over my head. Like, that is entirely possible. But yeah, it really didn't land with me. I really didn't like that. The cinematography overall, it's not terrible by any means. Like, it's okay. But, like, at the end of the day, this whole movie just looks like some of the most generic action movies that you see on like Tubi or like even straight to DVD movies and whatnot. And I think basically this what probably was a straight to DVD movie, which again is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely feels like that. Like, it doesn't feel like this could have been a theatrical movie. Like, even with Fear Below, last week's movie, I don't know if it got a theatrical release in Australia. It may have. I don't think it got one here in North America, but I could actually like see that movie having a short theatrical run. This movie, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way that you can expect people to sit in the theater and really like take this movie in, because there's not really a whole lot to take in even too. Like, the acting from everybody across the board was actually pretty fine. Like, the guy who plays Damon was really good. He's the captain of the boat. The guy who plays Jordan wasn't bad. I think it's just mostly like the dialogue and story for this movie that kind of ruins it. Like, Jordan's kind of a badass looking dude. Like, he's got like this big scar on his face, and he wears like a shark tooth around his like a shark tooth necklace. So he looks like pretty cool. He looks pretty badass. But like at the end of the day, again, he's just not that interesting of a character. Not as interesting as they're trying to make him out to be. And so, yeah, a bunch of stuff happens. At some point, Greg gets knocked into the boat, Cassidy's boyfriend, and, like, he swims away, and he ends up finding the other boat that, like, the drug dealers were killed on earlier in the movie, and then he finds a shotgun. So, obviously, at some point, he comes back to the boat. He sneaks up onto the boat. But before that, Cassidy and the other woman get into the water, and the other woman is killed, like, almost immediately, obviously. And then the movie does this thing that I hate so much. And there's been a couple of movies. Like, I think Under Paris may have done something similar to this at one point, but that one I'm a little bit more forgiving about. The other movie that did something similar was No Way Up. So at some point, Cassidy takes her goggles off underwater and her scuba tank while a shark is swimming directly towards her. Now, I don't know if you've ever been underwater and tried to open your fucking eyes. It is pretty goddamn hard to see anything. That's why people wear goggles underwater, so they can see. She just takes them off and is like, no, the shark's going to be less threatened if I take my goggles off. Because I'm like, yeah, that's what the shark is scared of. He's scared of your goggles. It's fine. It's for the visuals. It's for dramatic effect. But, like, Cassie is just swimming there, all right? And then the shark swims towards her, and then she sticks her hand out like she's about to fucking How to Train Your Dragon us and touches the shark, and then it just swims away. It's like, okay, you know what? We're cool. I'm like, I don't understand that at all. I'm like, I don't know what is happening here. Like, suddenly she is just like one with the sharks or something. Like, I don't really know. I don't really know what's happening with this. But honestly, that's probably one of the scenes that, like, absolutely pissed me off the most, because it was just pure nonsense. And again, in No Way Up, right at the very end of the movie, our main character is about to swim out of the plane, and then the shark comes in, looks at her, and then it's just like, nah, and then it swims away. But for the rest of the movie, it's just been attacking people, like, nonstop for no reason, other than it's like, oh, we have sharks in our movie, they're going to be bad. So, again, I don't really understand that. It doesn't make any sense. For me, I guess maybe in their story, maybe it makes a little bit of sense, but I just did not vibe with that. Like, that's like the one point in this movie where I was just like completely off of it. Like, I was like, okay, I can maybe get on board with some of this stuff. I mean, we had bikini babes and buff dudes, so I mean, we had, you know, some of the elements to make this work, but at the end of the day, it just, I don't know, it just really did not work for me. But yeah, so towards the end of the movie, Greg obviously comes back with the shotgun. He somehow manages to get the boat close enough and then swim to Jordan's boat, sneak up onto it, and then get onto the other boat that they were originally on. And so they hold, like, Jordan at gunpoint. They tussle around a little bit, and then eventually they just kick Jordan into the water, and he's gobbled up by a bunch of sharks. Again, in, like, very terrible CGI shark fashion. And they do a couple of shots too where, like, we're looking down at the water, and then there's, like, clearly, like, CG blood and splashes happening, and it just looks awful. Like, they do the same thing when Cassidy comes up from bringing the drugs in. Like, one of the drug dealers is, like, looking at one of the bags of drugs. Or no, actually, sorry, he gets in the water and is like, oh, we're missing a bag. And then this is where, like, this argument starts. And then one of the other guys ends up falling into the water while that dude is attacked. And it just looks so bad. And again, there's just a whole lot of things of like, okay, why did they force this guy to go in the water? Why is he still in the water? Like, we've seen how aggressive these sharks are, and like people are still, you know, doing the thing. It's like people still going to Jurassic Park. Don't go where the dinosaurs are. You won't get fucking eaten. It's not that goddamn difficult. I'm sorry, I'm still a little bit bitter about Jurassic World Rebirth. Like, we got teased that, like, Cloverfield monster thing, and then we see it for, like, a grand total of, like, what, 2 minutes in the whole fucking movie, and it's at the very end? The very beginning and the very end. Like, they bookend a bunch of shit with, like, this awesome thing. I'm like, it was, like, the point... I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again, because, fuck this movie. Spoiler alert, I didn't like this movie that much. I thought it was fucking terrible. But again, at the end of the day, you guys made a movie. I didn't. If you're happy with it, that's all that matters. This is just my opinion, so calm down. But what I was really hoping for with, like, Jurassic Park Rebirth is, like, when franchises go off the deep end, where they just finally accept that things are absolutely ridiculous, which is kind of like where, like, with Friday the 13th, I think probably around, like, 6, like 5 or 6 is where they're just like, yeah, we're just going to kind of do what we want, you know? Resident Evil, like, by the time you get to, like, the 3rd and, like, 4th movie, it's just, like, they're not good, but my God, they're entertaining, because it's just complete and utter nonsense. And that's what I was hoping would happen with Jurassic World. They would be like, listen, we've done all of, like, the somewhat realistic stuff that we can do, especially with, like, the first probably 3 movies, like the original trilogy, and then Jurassic World pushes it a little bit further. But I was like, okay, listen, after the debacle that was Dominion, can we just get, like, full-on bonkers? Like, yeah, they're doing weird experiments with dinosaurs, and it's like, yeah, show me an entire movie about that. Don't tease me a monster and be like, hey, at some point, maybe they're gonna run into that. No, just fucking do it. Like, just show me. Ugh. Anyways, what am I talking? Oh, Into the Deep. Yeah. Yeah, this movie's terrible. I feel bad saying that because I actually like Scout Taylor-Compton, especially in, like, more horror movies. I mean, like, I thought she was really good in Halloween 1 and 2. Like, I actually think she is a really good actor, but this movie was just bad. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the writing. Like, the writing and dialogue was just really not all that great. I really could have done without a lot of this. But the one thing that this movie did do well, which is why I'm giving it... I have 1 star written down, but I think I'm going to give it 1.5. Mostly because at the very end of the movie, so after, like, this 2 weeks later nonsense that Cassidy and Seamus do, Richard Dreyfuss, as himself, is talking during the credits, and he talks for, like, the duration of the entire credits, urging people to help shark conservation and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, I know that they were the villain in this movie. He's like, but at the end of the day, they're not as, you know, evil as everybody makes them seem to be, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, that goes on. I appreciated that. I do like that they added that at the end of the movie. So that's why I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. Because I like that they were pushing the shark conservation thing a little bit. So that I do appreciate. But unfortunately, just... this movie was a chore to get through, honestly, at the end of the day. As I said, the CGI is passable, but it's not great. Like, whenever we see the shark, it's not the greatest thing. And a lot of the times when we see, like, blood in the water and things like that, like, it is just very obviously CGI, and it's a little bit hard to watch from time to time. And most of the kills, I would say, are pretty much just exactly the same. Like, it doesn't really mix anything up by any means. It's just like, oh, danger, shark, dead, done. Like, that's the whole thing. I don't know. I was really hoping for something a little bit more from this movie, and I was kind of hoping that, like, my trailer expectations and poster expectations were wrong, and it would have given me, like, a hidden gem or something. Because I'm always looking for, like, a hidden gem of a movie. You know, like, sometimes you come across a movie that maybe a lot of people hate, but you come across it and it's, like, one of your favorite things. For example, this movie called Hack-O-Lantern. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Hack-O-Lantern. I know people have seen it, obviously, but It's an absolutely bizarre movie that not a lot of people talk about, but I fucking love it. It's a bad movie, but it's like entertainingly bad. This movie's not entertainingly bad, it's mostly just bad. So, yeah, it's just disappointing because I was really hoping to find a hidden gem in here, but that's not what we got. It's just a lot of generic dialogue, a lot of generic shots, and again, the plot of the movie is just something we've seen a bunch of times before this, and it's not really adding anything new or exciting. Again, like Fear Below, it's like, oh, it's in the 1940s, it's in Australia, it's, there's like different things that, just mixed it up a little bit, made it a little bit more interesting. And they did some like really cool filmmaking techniques, like they did the dry for wet, which I'm like, yeah, I could sort of tell, but I feel like generally speaking, most audiences wouldn't have even picked up on that, which is awesome. In this movie, it's just super obvious when we cut away to like CGI sharks and things like that. And again, the CGI blood in the water just looked bad. I feel like we're not at a point in filmmaking where we can make cheap and good looking shark movies. That's like a 5-star plus, you know what I mean? Because I just feel like animating a shark, animating water, and like fluid simulations and all that sort of thing are just not up to par for a lower budget filmmaking system as you could with like other movies. There's a lot of like comedies and like even certain action movies you can make for really cheap but also really good, because some of those things are a lot easier to pull off than, some of the stuff in this movie with the water and the sharks and all of that nonsense. Because there's nothing about this movie that made me think that they were trying to make a bad movie, it felt more like they're, legitimately trying to make a decent and good movie, but it's just not. And I feel bad saying it, but it's just not for me. But like, listen, go watch the movie for yourself, come up with your own, decision on how you feel about it. For me, this is just a 1.5, full stop, 1.5 stars. It's just lacking in a lot of the things that I'm looking for in a movie, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it for Into the Deep. Let me know what you guys think about this format, about me just going on random rants and going all over the place with the plot and whatnot. Yeah, no, just let me know what you think, because if you guys like it and prefer that, then I'll start doing more episodes like this as opposed to the normal plots. I mean, I'm probably still going to take my notes exactly the same, because it is helpful to just have like things to like look back on for like character names and whatnot. And like, again, there's events in this movie that I probably missed and didn't talk about. But I also kind of want to leave some of it vague so people can go and watch the movie and it's not, maybe they'll get something out of it that they didn't expect because I didn't talk about it. So that's why I wanted to try something a little bit different. So let me know what you think down below in the comments, wherever you're listening. Remember, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. Leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. But that's it for this week. Guys, I'll see you next time for even more Bucket of Chum.